preamp, and the box was thick enough to cut the hole in here for the preamp. You know, it's not super loud as an acoustic because this cigar box top is very thick. It's almost like half an inch. So it doesn't really vibrate that well for a soundboard. So let's just make this more of a like solid body electric. And the neck I built from scratch based on a mandolin plans I got from Harpkit. I'll put a link to the plans. So that fits right in there. The battery goes here. And I already notched out, you know, I used the Dremel and chisels to knock out the place for the jack. I put a little bit of music wrapping paper to clean it up and make it look nice on the inside. First we'll get the location of the bridge. 2 times the distance from the end of the nut to the 12th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just use a straight edge. It's just under 7.5. So I'm going to use a piece of tape to mark my exact center of the fret. I go from the center of the fret to the location of the bridge. So now we know where my saddle's gonna go, and that's where we want it. So we're gonna want this piezo rod to lay across under there, and this should be long enough to cover it. So I'm gonna leave the whole length. I don't want to cut this thing. We'll drill a little hole right about there, and since it's a floating bridge, we'll be able to adjust our intonation back and forth and keep that covered up. So we just drill a hole for this. Try not to get too tangled up in there. We'll just slice a little groove in here so this lays flat. It'll be touching the top of this and pick up vibration. We'll double check our measurement too to make sure before I cut a groove that it's going to be correct. Yeah, it'll be right in there. I'm going to push that back through so I don't nick it with the knife. Okay, we got it started. Now we can feel how much is sticking up, and then we just keep scraping until it lies pretty flat. So when we put this on top, it's touching but not rocking. It's still too high. And once again, I pop that back through so I don't poke it or nick it with anything. I'm just using this V-shaped chisel. And it's pretty soft. These cigar box wood is usually pretty soft. We'll do one more little pass. We'll use a flat chisel, kind of clean up the sides. And that little bridge plate covers it up nicely. Oh, that feels pretty good. You don't have to glue it. I think I like it. Yeah, the pressure from the strings will keep it on there, and then you dial in your intonation position. You can go back and forth. We have quite a bit of play to fine-tune the position. We like the way that is. We'll leave it. Wouldn't hurt to just hit it with a little sandpaper to clean off the fuzz. But you don't want to go any deeper because I like the way it was. So I'll just pinch this. It's like a used belt sander. Still has plenty of life. There we go, get that all tightened up, and then we put the screws in here. We're really close, we can put strings on it here pretty quick. Here's my little plate cover. Ooh, I guess I do need the screws that came with the Fishman. There we go. Now we'll bundle these cords together so it's a tidy package. We'll go ahead and use their zip tie that they provided. Don't want to pinch too tight, but enough. We'll snip that off. Just shave off the sides of this to lighten it up a bit. It might be a little bulky for a saddle. A little thinner, and it can get a little more energy and vibration. It's a little lighter weight. I'm going to sandwich that on. Let's grab those strings. And I have this little strip of leather to wrap over the edge of the tail. And those nylon strings have a tendency to slip. This little piece of leather helps kind of grip them in there and they won't slip when you tie them on. I'm going to use the strings that were on there before I put on a new set. These still have some life in them. And I went ahead and I sandwiched them in so I know which string is which. We tie these on the same way you tie them on a classical. Go over. And you wrap it through twice. Hold on to the tail. Get my little leather piece in here. 2 or 3 times on this little tiny instrument. Pull it tight. But as you pull it tight, you want to make sure, you know, this little end piece is on the back and doesn't make its way over to the front, because then it'll unwind itself. And that's lined up pretty good. And I give it a little tug. Here we go. You want to make sure it has enough winds, and I always gauge by, I pinch it and then pull 1, 2, maybe like 2.5 frets. And on these nylon strings, I'm going to go through it again, through the hole one more time. To make sure that that hangs on really well. Gotta make sure we're levered on top of that channel and on top of the rod. That other string will help hold it down. Oh, it sounds terrific. Crank up the treble and the mid, so we're getting a lot more variation out of it. And then we can add some reverb. The electric ukulele. or we could call it the Ukulele. And we'll see you next time.